There was a time when I just finished another video and I had to ponder what possible topic I could have covered next. I was out of options, quite really. I thought of exploring new topics I've never talked about before. Even I was that desperate to just upload a black screen, I would have been fully ready to do so. So I decided, while thinking about this very important question, to sit down, watch some quality YouTube content, and maybe an idea will appear in my head. And all of a sudden I was smacked by the announcement that Glitch is doing a Murderons comic. Let's fuck. Hello my little dronies. Yes, I can finally say the dronies line again, because there has been an announcement that a Murderons comic thing is coming soon. Soon is relevant, I don't know when it's coming, but just that it's coming. And although some may assume that I stopped doing Murderons content, however, I'm basically a sleeper agent, and as soon as anything Murderons related is just mentioned, I'm being activated to instantly go onto my microphone and my editing software and talk about it. And because there isn't anything to analyze just yet, I'm going to theorize what the comic could be about, or like honestly, small little change of plans, but during the research of this video and looking a little bit more deeper into what word for word IGN, or better to say Glitch, said in the post, and also greatly inspired by the video from Bloopers. Check him out. I'm maybe going to link his video if I don't forget it again, but I have to kill your hopes a little bit. Maybe, I don't know what people were expecting, but this, like, again, I said it multiple times and a bunch of times, this isn't season 2. Season 2 will never going to happen. This is a retelling of season 1. I still can theorize about what the part with retelling could mean. This is the rest of the video, but in this part I want to kinda kill your high hopes, because many people theorize it will be a continuation after, which was honestly a very bad ending. Don't get me wrong, episode 8 was a great episode, but just a very bad ending for an entire series, because I mean it even had like a post-credit scene and stuff that it was setting up stuff, but like you can't set up stuff if you end a series. So like, while there are some series that the story continues after the series and it's implied that the story continues, Murderons very much did not do a good job doing this. But like Liam Vickers said, he is done with his story, and Glitch respects the writers so much that they won't make anything more. That means also we won't get a comic which continues the finished story. And the retelling is probably going to retell the story either in a different aspect or like with new additions to it, but it won't be anything new. Like, it will most likely be the plot of episode 1 to 8. If we get extremely lucky, we get more content, meaning what happened before, a little bit what happened before episode 1, and maybe a few scenes after episode 8 ended, because even this could be just like a weirdly phrased sentence and they want to do something else, but I seriously doubt it, as like, even if this is just very weirdly phrased, Liam Vickers said he's finished with the Murderons story for the moment at least, and just wanted to very much clarify that this is not going to be something new, this is a retelling. But in a retelling, you can change up a few things from comics to the main show. Usually comics come first, but what could the comic change? This is the rest of the video, by the way. What could the comic change that would positively affect the Murderons story? First and most obvious, make a story like Intermission canon. Episode that was taking place between 4 and 5 to explain kinda the logic gap, how Uzi, or like how they got into the manor. Of course it was like to access their memory, but at the point it felt so random and out of the ordinary. So the comic could either directly adapt what Intermission did or do her own version of it, but basically how Uzi even came on the idea that she could access the memory and why she did it. And also it could flesh out more how Uzi actually trained, because a thing I liked about Intermission personally is you see Uzi actually struggling with her powers, because in episode 4 she first discovered that she had powers, basically absolutely went nuts and couldn't control anything of it. In the next episode she's already mastered everything and has perfect control of it, which left me just like, this just feels like a Mary Sue moment, and I don't want to call Uzi a Mary Sue, because if I think of Mary Sue I think of Ray Palpatine. I don't want to associate Murderons with that. So one thing they could do is flesh out the lacking points of the story. Another thing they could add, small little character interactions. Doesn't have to be anything big, but for example, give Fad a few more lines than in the actual show. Make Lizzie and V talk to each other and exchange phone numbers. For example, like how it was in episode 8 that they texted with each other. Make Khan and Uzi have a conversation, or the conversation in episode 3 was already decent, but I mean, like, you can do more character interactions. It doesn't have to be small, it doesn't have to be huge change about the story, just a bit more that the people of the community can enjoy. even if it's as simple as just a joke. This section also doesn't need to be longer because again it can be something small, but something I really would wish that the comic would actually flesh out more of Cyns. What was her goal? Was Cyns and the solver a separate entity? Are they the same? What was Cyns' end goal? Was she actually being serious in the end fight? Like all of this, like Cyns was throughout the entire end fight was just trolling around, and Uzi got a lucky hit off in the end and just one-shotted her. But what was Cyns' goal? I have my main theory that Cyns absorbed the absolute solver basically, and that gave her like a giant hunger, which wasn't pleased by anything, so she just started consuming stuff, and after some time she started consuming planets, and that also didn't please her, so she just kept going. But the thing is, this is my headcanon. I took away from the story from guessing things out of the story. We could just have like one line, if we take my theory for example, that Cyns is talking to Jay and mentioning how she must please her hunger and that she won't let her get in her way or something. Or if Cyns has a different goal, just let her mention that, and if, let's say, just Jay makes a unpleasant remark or something because she's annoyed because she doesn't like working for Cyns, and then Cyns casually mentions her end goal, that she just wants to destroy Uzi or something, or get back in, whatever, just so we know what's going on. And speaking about that, you can also get a bit more fleshed out on Jay, because I hate Jay fans that can't decide what is the character supposed to be, because is she like a tragic hero that was forced to be a villain? Is she just an asshole? Spoiler, she's just an asshole, but nobody wants to realize that. But speaking about it, that if Glitch doesn't want Jay to be this annoying person, which I don't know why people like it, they can also make her more likable or sympathetic in the comics. Then I would absolutely could agree with the Jay fans, because I want to like Jay. I own the plushie of her because I want to like her, but I can't. Same counts for all the other characters. They could add small things to make them more sympathetic. For example, they could also have like a backflash where we can see more of Nori, because Nori is a fan favorite character, even though we have never actually seen her. Like, of course, pictures and stuff on the server art, we have never seen her body. To clarify, I mean her body when she is in control. I know the one flashback in episode 7, but still. Another thing, or better to say the last thing I wanted to mention is we could maybe get new fight scenes or new fight choreographies. This one is the most unlikely of all of them, but it could be cool. For example, in episode 5 to 6, the big cliffhanger we had to wait for multiple months and nothing actually happened. They could add like a small little fight scene between Doll and all the characters in the comic, as it wouldn't change the story or anything, but it would add a lot to it, and it would kinda make up for the long gap we had in the actual show back then. Or for example, so that it's not just a one-to-one copy, they could change up the prom fight, that V and N actually get also a little bit more action, maybe that. Because in the end of things, what I want to end of this video, this comic can't just be a retelling, just a straight up one-to-one retelling. We do want anything new. Like, I do think this comic is going to be a big disappointment for people, because people just expect a second season, which is not going to be coming. I said that multiple times, but it's just true, unless Liam Vickers says anything else. So just literally anything that isn't already something that has happened would make the Myrmidons fandom extremely happy, because otherwise we end up as one of those fandoms that just creates their own headcanons to oblivion, fights over it, and end up all being very toxic and not liked by other people. Because I mentioned the long gap between episode 5 and 6. If you remember how toxic Myrmidons fans were to Digital Circus fans, because they thought Digital Circus was going to replace Myrmidons. So in the end, it's just a question, how do you want the fandom of your favorite show, how do you want it to be remembered? Do you want to remember it as like golden days and it was really cool? Or do you want to remember it as the one fandom that had a really good show but got very toxic over time? That's why I think Glitch is trying to please us with that, to show, hey, we are still doing anything about Myrmidons, but we're not going to make anything new unless Liam Vickers says anything. And how I'm guessing Liam Vickers is either going to be working on something new, is going to finish his other series, or maybe if I'm lucky he's going to work on Cliffside, because I liked that one and thought of making a video on it, but never did actually. But with this we come to the end of this video. Now I can use the funny outro cards again. Hi, hello. But this video, I don't know if I said it already in a different Myrmidons video, but this video is kind of to see if you still are interested in Myrmidons content, as like I would like to still make more Myrmidons content, but it's difficult as like there's no more show to theorize about. So that means these videos also get less views, which I know less views not always correlates to stuff, but less views means for me like less of you are actually interested in watching this. And I know of course less people now will watch Murderons content back then, but I'm going to compare this to my old Murderons videos, which had like, if it was a good day, maybe 1,000 views, to see if you actually are still interested in these kind of videos, because if not, I'm going to go back to my original content. The thing is also I don't really have a reference to it, because my latest FPE AU video had, I think last time I checked, 100 views, while the one before that had like 400 views. So I don't know what's at this point anymore, because even if I make community votes and polls, the answers always fight each other with what I actually get in the end. So I don't know what anymore. This video is also very much out of the excitement that I heard when Murderons was getting a comic. Of course, my first thought also was, yay, we're going to get a season 2, but again, thinking about it, we're not going to, so this kind of killed the hype behind me wanting to make this video. But I still hope you enjoyed watching this, and I hope you have a nice day.